Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with Mr. Larry Kim once again, and we're going to go deep on Visitor ID today. Larry's the CEO and founder of Customers.ai, and Larry, I'm grateful for you to be back here. We're going to talk about some really cool stuff. How are you doing today?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Let's just kick it off. Let's jump right into this today. If you haven't seen the first episode with Larry, if you want to hear about his life story, how we got here, there's another video that we'll link to. But today we're going to go as deep as we can on Visitor ID, and I think I want to start by setting the definitions. Let's get the lay of the land. What is Visitor ID? What is the technology that you've been building?
Sure. It's a pretty magical technology in theory. It's this promise that if you install a pixel, this Visitor ID technology can tell you who the heck is on your website, irregardless of whether or not they've are known to you previously, so they haven't purchased or filled out a form before. So there's this idea that it's based off of new visitors, not your existing visitors, because there are other products that already handle that use case, like Klaviyo Extended ID or Blot Out or other first-party products. So when people think about website visitor identification technologies, it's typically third-party contacts that are new and not previously known to you. So that's how it's supposed to work in theory.
I mean, it is really magical because I'm driving all this traffic to my website. Not everybody's going to fill out the form. There's not everyone's going to accept a pop-up. Not everyone's going to make a purchase, and you're still able to get them into your database compliantly, and market to them in own media systems, which I think is that's always been the dream. We've been trying to figure this out for forever. I know this is something that was talked about extensively when I lived in Northwest Arkansas. And everyone in the Walmart ecosystem was like, how do we do this? And you're doing it. I think it's as you said, it's just a magical solution.
Well, I think the issue here is it's not new technology. It's been around for over 5 years, when I first heard of it. And I think if it's so magical, why the hell aren't every major brand and agency using this technology? And the answer is because it doesn't really work. It's not completely broken, but it is significantly broken in terms of the accuracy of the identifications that these vendors are providing. And it's a little fraudulent. They don't disclose the accuracy rates of the guesses. Nobody except for me is talking about this. So the what we're finding is when you think about top three leading Visitor ID solutions on the market, when we look at their data accuracy, it's very low. It's mostly wrong. Typically between 70, 80, 90, 95% wrong. Meaning they're just giving you random emails of people who, were on the same IP address or et cetera, et cetera. This had some kind of a false positive signal. It's not wrong 100% of the time. So that you can definitely, if you're stubborn enough, you can definitely squeeze some revenue out of there. But at what cost? And then the message that I have today is just bad data is worse than no data. The best is accurate data. The worst is bad data. It's even worse than having no data at all.
So something that's that you've talked about extensively in social media, our conversations, is this concept of bad data. And just to really illustrate this to people, these tools are you're identifying who these people are, and then you're passing it back into your ad systems. You're training your pixels on it. You're also passing it into your email systems. And each time, the way that I understand it is if you have a bad email getting added to your Klaviyo, that's hurting your deliverability at best. At worst, it's completely cutting you off at the knees, and you're paying for more profiles you need to be, and you're blowing up your entire email program.
I think it's marketing malpractice. If you're an agency or or like an influencer hawking this kind of this toxic waste on your fans or your clients. Like, this is you really need to look in the mirror here. It's exactly what you're saying here. The data provided by these third party data providers, we don't have to name all the names or anything, but like they're all horrific, and they're typically using this data to power marketing campaigns. Okay, so most commonly there's two use cases. It's using third-party identifications to power email flows. Okay, or to power ad remarketing flows. So we'll take them one at a time. It's what you're saying on the email flows. You're just emailing random people 9 times out of 10. Like, not the person who visited your website, but someone else random who didn't visit your website. Like, that's not being disclosed by these vendors, and the impact is horrific. Google spam, guidelines say that if you have a 0.3% spam complaint rate, you then are categorized as a bulk sender, and that's a straight first class ticket to the spam folder, basically. When I look at the spam complaints from the flows that are being populated by visitor ID emails, do you know what the spam rates are?
No.
Like, so the benchmark is 0.3, like that's the maximum.
Right.
These things have single-digit spam rates, like 2, 3, 4% spam complaint rates. So, like, let's just take the midpoint there, 3% spam complaint rate. Holy shit! Like, that's like 10 times the allowable spam complaint rate.
Yeah.
So, like, it's horrific, and not to mention, like, it does become a compliance issue if you're emailing all sorts of random people who never even express any interest in your product or service. So I think it's pretty terrible. We can talk about why people are doing this later, but like, let's talk about the ad use case. Okay, so this is where because the Facebook pixel is broken because of all the cookie changes. In theory, it makes sense that you would want to send visitor identifications from your third-party visitor identifications to the Meta or Google Ads or whatever ad platforms you're using to power remarketing. These are like, it's so insidious. Like, if you're sending over remarketing data, that's great. But if that data is wrong 70, 80, 90, 95% of the time, ad targeting is not, it's not just like in a vacuum, like a static vacuum. Like, any data that you're providing, now these ad targeting systems are all machine learning based. You're actively undermining the ability for your ad account to kind of narrow in on the signal to figure out, like, who the heck they should be targeting. Like, it's like they're getting closer and closer, and then you send them like this random Granny Smith from outside of your target market. Like, it's just crazy. It would just be there's nothing worse that you could do to your account. Now, so like, now let's put this in context. Like, something like Customers.ai, we think of ourselves as a second generation visitor ID solution. In terms of spam rates, I was just doing a trial review this week. It was actually a head-to-head against OpenSend, which is one of the vendors in the space. So they had a spam complaint rate of 1.5%, and we had a spam complaint rate of 0.1%. So 15 times more spam, and also ours was 3 times lower than the maximum. Theirs of 0.3%, theirs was 500% higher than the maximum. So like, it's just like not a little bit different. Like, we're talking like 10, 15, 20 times difference in terms of in terms of accuracy. And of course, like revenue per email, we were 5 times more revenue per email. Of course, like you just don't have a
better emails, but yeah,
it's not just about the like, even if you're okay with the spam issues, like I don't know why you would be, but like even if you were okay, like there's still upside of using good data, which is that you're not likely to convert to sale on someone who's just completely randomly. And when these systems are wrong, essentially, they're not just a little bit wrong, they're completely wrong. It was like some other person in line at Starbucks, like who just happened to be routed through the same IP address or something like this. It's not like in B2B outbounding where you have an ICP and you just start emailing a lot of people. Like at least they have certain like characteristics, like marketing manager or whatever. Like here, when you're wrong in visitor identification, it's not like you just missed the ICP by a little bit. Like it's like 1 of 20 billion emails on the internet is basically what you're getting.
So, can you walk us through a little bit of how you actually do these tests? I've seen this, but like I would love for you to share. Like you're doing these head-to-head comparisons on your data versus a competitor's. Like how can like a stranger like see how valid the test that you're running is?
Sure. There's kind of an informal way of doing the data testing, and then there's a more rigorous formal way of doing the data testing. Informally, you would just do a head-to-head test where you run both simultaneously, like Customers.ai versus some other website visitor ID product. And then you just look at the positive and negative engagement signals that arise from those email flows. So let's talk about the email use case first. You could, let's assume they're like Shopify Klaviyo. You could have, Customers.ai produced identifications go to us, a clone of your flows. That way, it's kind of segmented out from the from the rest of the stuff. And then have visitor ID product numbers 2 or 3 or 4 to go to different flows. That kind of lets you segment this out a little bit. I would look at the positive and negative engagement. A lot of attention is spent on the positive stuff, like oh look, I got 10K of sales or something like this. But it's important to also think about the negative engagement signals. Like if that 10K has a 2% spam rate or something like that, like which is substantially higher than 0.3%. You need to think about the big picture here. There's other kind of metrics that I would be looking at. One is revenue per email. Right? A lot of these systems, they charge by email. So like if you're paying a few cents for an email, like what is it actually generating you? And also comparing the difference of the revenue per email of our emails versus some other emails. Like if it's 5 times difference, you have to kind of think about yourself, why are Customers.ai emails generating 5 times more revenue than some other vendor, okay? And it's my belief that the only possible reason is because those other emails are wrong. Because these are supposed to be visitor identifications. It's like cart abandoners, product viewers. Like as soon as you get to a couple thousand of them, like there shouldn't be 10,000 or 5,000 or 100 times different. Like there shouldn't be massive differences in sort of the conversion characteristics if we're both trying to IT the same people, right? Furthermore, I would postulate like you should kind of know ahead of time what the conversion rate should be, because you're actually running flows on your first party visitors. You see what I'm saying, Sanjay? Mm-hmm. So like, yeah. If your cart abandonment flow has a 5% conversion rate, okay, and then you run Customers.ai and it's like 4% or 3.5%, like it's a little bit lower maybe. That's still okay because it's like kind of in the ballpark of whatever the native conversion rate for first party cart abandoners are. But then if you're running like some other, I don't know, like third party, some other ID platform, and the conversion rate is 0.01% or 0.1%, then you kind of have to use your brain and think about why would it be such a difference if they're both the same, if they're the same kind of cart abandoned, and the answer is, they're probably not. So there's definitely a way to do data testing, kind of just by looking at the positive and negative engagement signals from the emails that are being provided. And I think the mistake that people look at is they only look at the incremental sales, but not factoring into questions like, well, why did these incremental sales come at a conversion rate that's 10 times lower than what I was expecting, or 100 times lower, or why is it generating like an unsubscribe rate that's like 15 times higher than what I normally see, or why is it generating a 20 times the spam complaint rates than my first party emails, like that. Those are sort of this relativistic benchmarking is needed. The other way we can do the data testing is we can compare the guesses from different platforms against the true values. And the way that we do this is whenever someone actually purchases, then you have a good idea of who that person is, because they purchased, so probably didn't put in a fake ID because they want to get the shipping confirmations and on the receipt and all this stuff. You can look to see, like, Sanjay just bought something. Who did revenue roll or open send or retention? Who did they think it was like 5 minutes ago before the purchase happened? And then you can line them up and say, oh, this guy was wrong. This guy was wrong. Like you can kind of do a sampling of the guesses versus the true identities to compute an actual accuracy. So those are some ways that agencies and marketers can kind of clue into the accuracy of this data, as the vendors themselves aren't really, they're not disclosing the accuracy of their data products, unfortunately.
I'm sure they're not. I mean, they're definitely not incentivized to, but in any means. But I'm kind of curious. Like, I mean, the way that you've described it publicly, and the way that I've seen in the conversations we've had, is like you're going to war against the fraud, the marketing malpractice that's happening. Do you find it difficult to tell the merchants or the agency owners to look at that extra data? Because like it's very easy for people to look at like, oh, I'm making more money than I was before. That's simple. Everyone's already doing that. And I think a lot of your competitors are probably like banking on just that happening. Like, are you finding it difficult to actually train these operators to look at the rest of the data?
So first of all, the space is kind of damaged goods a little bit, because so many people like. I don't even think like it's not like landing pages at Replo where like everyone needs a landing page. Okay, Visitor ID is a space where like over the last 5 years, like every brand has tried it and gotten burned. You see what I'm saying? So like, so out of the gates, there is a little bit of reluctance to try another one of these things, but the data is stark. Like when you look at the conversion rates or the bounce rates or not bounce rates, the spam complaint rates, the sales, and like the data is very stark, and so it is a challenge to get to that point, though. Openly, like there is a bit of suspension of disbelief going on a little bit, how do we know what Larry's saying is true? Like, and I would even say there's other issues at play, like just there's been a lot of influencer marketing spent like in this space by vendors. So there's a lot of like confirmation bias and stuff we're dealing with. But like if we can get the pixel installed and show the results, those people then become like enlightened and they see the truth, and then we're just building a movement here where we've got about 100 of them the past couple of weeks, and it's growing. Our last 2 months were the strongest on record, and very excited for the future of the business.
Which is great, especially going into the summer. Like, it's just like, I'm used to the retail slump. It's like being a slog. So to hear that you're ramping up, that's fantastic to hear. One of the things you said earlier is you describe yourself as a second generation visitor ID solution, and can you tell me like what does that mean? Like, what is the first generation? Like, what is the actual difference between these generations?
So, certainly retention and OpenSend, they were actually the OG is like retention and Wonderkin. Those guys have been doing it for a while. The main kind of discriminating thing that I would say separates us from the rest is that we provide our own, we create our own identity graph from scratch, and the way that you can tell, of course, is we can examine the technologies, and it's we know that they're basically licensing third-party data from data brokers, and then just de-anonymizing that information to reveal the underlying email address. Again, it's not completely wrong, but that data wasn't specifically designed for use in like account-based marketing type of scenarios where you're looking for like the exact individual. You see what I'm saying? So sometimes I call ourselves like a second generation visitor ID product because we do have our own ID graph. So we have our own identifiers, like the persistent identifiers. We have our own data sources, and we're not using first-party customer data at all, right? Like one of our competitors, like they actually use your data to populate their graph. Okay.
So what you're saying is, competitor installs their software, they're actually sucking data out of your email platform or something.
Yeah, like to their credit, they do disclose it in their terms of service.
So it's in the fine print,
yeah.
But you don't actually realize that, like, hey, I just signed up for this.
I think it's terrible. And
oh my gosh, that's actually insane.
So like I wouldn't do it because not only because it's unethical, but because I have to build my own ID graph, Sanjay, and if I'm just sucking data out of random people's CRMs, I can't vouch for the accuracy or integrity of that information because I wasn't involved in the kind of the curation of that information. Like it could just be a pump full of third-party visitor IDs from Revenue Roll or something. Like you something like who like, and that's a different mentality. Like if we're building our own data graph, with our own sources and identifiers, like there's a way to do this where we're like super persnickety about like the quality, and I certainly wouldn't be interested in sucking random people's CRM data because I don't think that helps. I think that just adds more entropy. But yeah, your original question was like difference between first generation, second generation. Like it's whether or not you're like, we're more like the companies that my competitors license data from. You see what I'm saying? It's like,
yes.
we're in the business of like compiling and creating and making sense of all that information. And we also happen to sell tools for like analytics and connect.
It's like a vertical integration situation.
Yeah. Like we're a vertically integrated data company that does the connections to Klaviyo and Meta, but we also source the data ourselves. And I think that's kind of the difference. I doubt that my competitors could do this, because it's just very hard and a lot of work, and especially.
And I'm assuming it's a lot more money invested to be able to build that infrastructure.
And expertise, like just
Yeah.
I have a background in server programming and electrical engineering from University of Waterloo. It just, it's like Google and Yahoo. Like Yahoo never really caught up. Like they didn't see this amazing quality search engine and then say like, oh, duh, we should just we should just do it that way. Well, it's kind of hard to do,
Yeah.
and it's not like they ever improved. And I think it's one of those situations here.
So you're a wartime CEO. What are like the different like battlefronts that you're fighting on? Like what I mean, obviously we've talked about data integrity, but like when you're approaching customers, as you said, they're functionally damaged goods, not damaged goods so much, but like they've been burned. Like how does this war play out?
Explain. Like,
yeah, so like you're going up with your competitors are, I mean, their GTM motions are aggressive. They're trying to grow as well. They're making all these promises to customers. They're not disclosing, at best some weird things, at worst like true malpractice and fraud. How do you actually go up against that? How do you what are the things that you're actually doing to like fight them, fight the fraud that's happening?
Well, we have the benefit of this being of the truth here. Like it is not hard to do an audit of well, actually, I take it back. I don't know if you know this, but retention actually doesn't even tag their like they don't put their name beside the emails that they're pumping into Klaviyo. They put some weird number, so it's
really hard to like dedupe like who did what.
Well, they were banned by Klaviyo, so they make it a little harder to figure out like which emails were from retention, right? But the in general, it's not rocket science to be able to it's like I look at the spam rate, look at this conversion rate, so the modality is one of just a taste choice, like taste test modality, where we just look for vendors who are using this or have used it in the past, and like if they use it in the past, sometimes we'll be able to look up their old stats from the paused flows and stuff like this. And if it's but it's a slaughterhouse. Like it's not close. It's not like, oh well, with Customers.ai we'll do 5% better. No, it's like 5 times better. You see what I'm saying? So it's we just need we just need to get people to try this thing.
And there's the people that have tried visitor identification technology. There's like a new trust building activity that you have to do. For people that are like net new, half the time I feel like it feels like it's too good to be true. Like, oh, you can just like figure out who these people are even though they haven't filled out a form. Like, how do you build the trust there? Like, what's like the 1-2 lines you tell those people?
So for those kind of net new to Visitor ID, we're kind of pitching a incrementality argument over first party data. So you probably already have Klaviyo has a pixel, and it's IDing people, and maybe you have other, there's some excellent products in the space. Like I think Blackout is exquisite, but the idea here is that what we're trying to show is that we can ID sessions, and then by looking at the kind of the user journey in Klaviyo, where it's a Sanjay Jenkins that says, visited site, received an email, clicked on email, purchase. Like, if we can prove that this is a session that wouldn't have happened had you only been using the kind of the basic, pixel capabilities, or whatever technology they're using, like Elevar or something like this, if we can prove that we have incrementality over that, then I think that's pretty compelling. One thing that I stress is critical is that the third-party flows must be delayed to allow the first-party systems to have their go at it. So like the oldest trick in the book is you just kind of try to steal attributed revenue from other existing first-party data flows. What we typically do is we'll let your Klaviyo Pixel try to do its work, and then we'll insert a delay like 30 minutes or something like into our flows, so that what you're looking at is truly incremental.
And I'm assuming most of your competitors or all of your competitors aren't doing that. They're not inserting even that little delay there.
It varies. I think it's a situation where, unfortunately, it depends on the kind of the cleverness of the brand. Like if they notice that, like, it gets corrected. But if it's not noticed, like, there's all sorts of it's not how I want to run my business.
Right. What, man? There's so much. I'm honestly still stuck on the fact that the retention's banned from Klaviyo.
Well,
like, how do they continue to operate? If that's, I mean, obviously you're saying that there's some obfuscation going on, but like that's just crazy to me.
Well, it's kind of an interesting company. Adam is a brilliant marketer. Like, there's no question about it. He's a genius. I believe I have stronger engineering capabilities than him. But there's no question that he's a genius from particularly the stuff he's doing on LinkedIn and stuff like this. So I think how does it exist? Well, they have very good marketing, I think.
And I mean, I've seen some of your stuff. I mean, I know you're trying to you're trying to build the narrative of this war and or exposing the fraud. I think more than anything. I'm happy to hear that. It's just it must be hard to compete against someone who isn't necessarily playing honestly.
Well, that's not. I wouldn't go that far.
Okay.
He's he's an entrepreneur. He's trying to grow his business. So I don't fault him for any of that. I'm just saying. I think where I'm most disappointed is some of the agency / influencer entanglements. So there's this like kind of seedy underbelly of e-commerce, which is the like this whole product recommendation stuff, and it's just amazing to see that even when kind of presented with like a stark contrast of like product A versus product B because of a pre-existing or prior influencer relationship, that someone might be okay with like that level of damage being done in perpetuity, rather than speaking up for the client needs and wanting to get the best results for the clients. But whatever, it's okay. Like, we have the benefit of the truth on our side, and more people are waking up to it every day.
I think to your point about the influencer relationships, I know firsthand several instances where publicly an influencer will say, I support this tool, and because I have access or I have a relationship with them, I know that personally they're using a different tool. And I know that about people using your tool actually, but promoting others as well, which is it's really funny to me. Like I've seen it firsthand, and it is the nature of this. Like ecom in general is like kind of shady at times. Not at times, like a lot of it is.
We may have to, play ball, as you say, like, and do more of this. But mostly, I would say, if you were to look at our company financials, it's been product and engineering expenditures to build up the engineering team and product team, and be able to, we haven't dumped millions into influencer campaigns yet, and
right.
I think that's just it's that's where we're at right now.
So I mean, you've built this business around engineering. I think it's a very obvious. I mean, your background is in this. Like for other people in SaaS, like this is probably advice for myself too. That I'm asking for is like, how do you build not just like products well, but how do you like engineer like maybe like for example like the trials that you're doing, like the side by side comparison? Like, how do you build that? How are you thinking through that?
It wasn't that hard. Like the reality is that anyone can, if they're interested in doing it, could implement their own data test. It just requires a little bit of thinking about how to structure that test. And so we just, you just need to be able to export data and compare it to outcomes. And it's not super hard. It was more about just coming up with a protocol on like these are the steps that you should follow, and then once we explain it to them, they say, oh yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense, and it's not that hard to do either. It's just I think that because the data accuracy of third-party identifications, like the new ones, is not generally advertised as being like subject to meaningful like mostly wrong kind of quality, that it just doesn't occur to the brand to do those tests in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Something. This is changing topics slightly, but one of the I got dinner last night with a guy in PE, and we were just talking about M&A in general. And I'm kind of curious: is there any M&A activity happening in visitor identification? Like, have you thought about growth by just acquiring some of your competitors?
I mean, confidential. Actually, it's not confidential because we're on a podcast. Like the message that we're sending out is being received. Okay,
yeah.
Like we're getting a lot of inbound inquiries. Including the providers of data to my competitors.
They're actually coming after you. I love it.
No.
I mean, like in a good way.
Like in terms of like, let's work together. So in a weird incestuous way, like maybe we can clean up this industry one way or another.
Yeah.
But
that's amazing.
But yeah, like there's certainly a lot of interest in this technology. I think that it like. There's no interest if the data is 95% wrong, but if you can get to a data product that's like 95% right, like rivaling that of first party data, which is our goal and mission, then yes, I think that is pretty interesting, and that's what keeps me going here, Sanjay.
Yeah. What's how big of a team do you have right now?
About 30 people, mostly engineers.
About 30 people, mostly engineers. And yeah, I mean, I feel like I've looked at the org charts of some of these other businesses, and they're all just salespeople. It's like just A's out the nose.
Well, they didn't build it.
Exactly. Yeah. So, it's like white label. Yeah. gluing stuff together. How? Oh man, I don't even know what else to ask at this point, because like there's like so many things kind of like unraveling here. It's like I think you use some like religious imagery to like showing people the light, and I feel like that's what's happening right now is in me is like, oh man, my goodness, like there's this change.
What we have that thing internally, we call it like an aha moment. It's like we have a channel, you know, where we internally we refer to that moment as an aha moment. It's like like during a demo and you showcase some case studies around like, you know, this vendor had 80% error. Like they start raising their eyebrows. They start like really questioning the kind of, you know, what they've been told. You know, it kind of reminds me of this whole. I mean, not to be political or anything, but like Joe Biden, you know, like this whole thing about everyone seeing little signs of of him being like having dementia or something.
Yes.
And then everyone's like, no, it's he's sharp as a tack, or whatever, you know. And then suddenly,
perfect health.
And then suddenly the dam explodes, and then like everyone's saying like, oh, they're disavowing Joe Biden. Yeah. I think you know, there's this. We're in the I mean, I started this campaign about 8 weeks ago, and you know, we're in the opening game here. It's not like the end game yet, but like the you know, I think the people are figuring it out, and that's exciting. It's like, you know, at the end of the day, you know, like even if you don't purchase from me, I still want your business to do well. Okay.
Yeah.
And you know, everything we're doing is you know, lighting a little bit of a fire on the industry, and getting everyone to you know, do better.
Yeah. In terms of doing better, I actually want to hear about some horror stories, if you have any. You know, when you're looking at other accounts, you're one of these trials. Like, what's some of like wildest stuff you've seen?
Okay. The craziest thing I'm going to share with you is the spam complaints. Okay, so Sanjay, when you look in your Klaviyo or you look in your SendLane or OmniSend, whatever, there's like, you can see these deliverability reports. Okay.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you can be using these third-party identification systems, and the deliverability still says it's okay. Like, you know, like you sent this many messages and you got this many complaints, so that's okay. So we've been digging into this a little bit more. We have this capability where we have around 10,000 Gmail inboxes that we control. And so we can send emails from the brand's domain to the inboxes that we control, okay? So that we can see where those emails are landing, okay? So in one case, there was a brand that we would have to name the guy, but he's a great guy. But like, I kind of feel bad. Like he was deceived. But like they've been using a product like this, and you know, deliverability looks good. We then do this test where we send 10,000 emails to inboxes to see where they land. Something like 70% of those emails were landing in either promotions or spam. Now, promotions, I don't think is the end of the world, because like promotions is stuff that you kind of opted into, but aren't actively engaging with. Okay, but to have like 30-40% of your emails landing in spam, look in your spam box. Like that is like Nigerian prince kind of stuff. It's like either scams and complete bullshit. Okay, like phishing scams and stuff like this, and that's what the email like was landing, like 30-40% of the time. So then you think about like, why the heck is, you know, Klaviyo saying that the reputation is good? It's because Klaviyo is computing the spam score based on the number of complaints. So that's how many times someone clicks on the spam button in Gmail. Do you see what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
But if your visitor ID system degrades your deliverability, like so that, you know, 70, 80, 90% of your emails are going to the spam box, then nobody is seeing your emails, and no one can actually click on the spam button. You see what I'm saying?
So it's artificially deflated.
So the worse these third-party visitor ID solutions do at destroying your deliverability, the better it looks from a deliverability perspective in Klaviyo. And that is the nightmare. You ask me, what's the biggest nightmare? Oh my god, this is so bad.
I don't even know what to say to that. That's like sickening. That's like so insane. Well, that doesn't make any sense.
You got to ask yourself, if what I'm saying is true, visitor ID is 70, 80, 90% wrong. How could this be a multi-million-dollar business? And the answer is, the worse it is, the better your deliverability looks on your ESP side.
Oh my gosh. And so it's systemic. It's such a terrible. That's insane. I don't know what to say to that. That's crazy. My trust in Klaviyo's deliverability has now been.
You got to do it at both ends. You got to look at it from what does Klaviyo, how much complaints are they receiving? That's half of the signal. But the other part of the signal is you need to send to, and there's Customers.ai can help you do this. If you want to do a delivery test, I'd be happy to set that up for you. And then there's other products that do something similar. But you got to look at both sides. And this whole visitor ID thing, it's such a shell game. They make you look at one thing, but they don't show you the other thing. And it's oh my god, this is
it's just one big sleight of hand is what's happening here. And then your revenue goes up ever so slightly. You're oh, I'm making money. It feels good. But you're actually gonna long term lose money.
Well, yeah, and what's the incrementality of those identifications is another thing that I would push into, because Klaviyo Extended ID is pretty good. So a lot of these things are, there's overlap with the signal of stuff that would have been found anyways. So
we've covered so much here. I want to leave on a lighter note than just these mic drop moments that you've been giving me. Maybe this is a mic drop, but I'm kind of curious to know what are you cooking up now? What's the next set of tools, or what are you working on at Customers that you're excited about?
Sure. I probably shouldn't be sharing this, but what the hell?
That's been 3 moments today. I love
it. The mission of our company is to build, third-party website visitor identification that is, not just correct, 5% of the time, but we want it to be 100% correct. That's the mission. We want to get it to, the same level quality as first-party data. We continue to make strides in this area and getting this ID better and better every day. And it occurs to us that it's getting high enough where it's so correct that one of the ideas that we have is this idea of a form prefill. Okay, so wow. A universal form prefill. So this would be kind of a nice way to expose, and no other vendor would ever do this, because it would actually show you how wrong they are. Okay. Now, we're not there yet. You have to be very, very, very high accuracy. We're 80% right or something like this. You see what I'm saying? But and those extra 20 points is still a Rubicon to cross that. It's kind of my son does Rubik's cubing, and every additional second that he shaves from his time is harder than the previous 5 seconds that you shaved off. It's the same thing in data accuracy. Getting to super accuracy is but that's our mission. But we can easily see a time in the next couple quarters where we might be possible to just expose the visitor ID confidently, as a form pre-fill, kind of like how ShopPay works. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
No, it's genius. I'm kind of curious to know. It's like in that world, I'm filling out a form. Sometimes I'll use my like work email if I'm like for whatever reason, or sometimes most of the time I'll use my personal email. Like how do you think through that? Like what is the reconciliation that happens there? It's still me.
Okay, I can't tell you all about
Okay.
the algorithms.
All right. Next time, well, we'll take this offline. We'll figure it out. But this is like endlessly fascinating to me. That's exciting.
So we know just like we know that people are lazy and they like for like pop-ups and
Sure.
like if the email's in there they'll hit subscribe if
Right.
it's, but if they have to do work they'll say
They won't.
yeah. So like we,
Yeah, that's also true. I probably would just hit, even if I just know it's mine, I'm just gonna hit yes and figure it out later.
and they feel like they already know who I am. So you see what I'm saying? So like we think this could be a game changer, and it's a feature that only the best can do. Otherwise it would just expose all the stupid guesses that they're making. So I think it's quite an exciting thing that we're working on here.
Do you ever get told like a dinner party, like you're like, oh, what you do is scary? Like, how do you know that about me? Do you ever get told that? Do customers ever come to you to like ask you about that?
It's 2025. Come on, like
That's what my response is too. Like, because my friends will we'll be watching an ad or something, or they'll get an ad on their phone. And they're like, oh, I was just talking about this. I'm like, well,
it's Siri.
actually
It's Siri.
a ton of science. Like, yeah.
It's Siri.
I'm like, there's
Siri.
a ton of science, but yeah, Siri's listening to you.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, I think it's good. Like, I don't want to be shown like diaper ads. I don't have kids. I want to get like sports car ads, which is great. It's highly like productive for me. But I don't know. It's kind of interesting to think about like in general. But anyway. Yeah, I mean, pre-filling forms, that's a pretty huge thing. Fighting the good fight, fighting the war on visitor ID fraud, helping people deliver stuff better, improve their ads. You have a lot of cool stuff cooking. I think, I personally, and I don't know why or how I kind of like got fascinated with this industry. Like I think visitor ID is really.
But it's a growth hack. It's just incredible growth hack, and you are a growth man. So it's like I totally get the affinity with the category.
Yeah.
Let's just make the category work. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I love it. Well, Larry, it's always a pleasure to have you on. I love talking to you. I love talking about this, and I learn something each time we talk. Thank you so much for jumping on with me today and just dropping so many good moments.
All right. Thanks, AJ.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right, we'll see you soon.
All right.